We have the Jeff the Landshark origin story, we have BRODOK, we have the West Coast Masters of Evil, we have a whole bunch of shenanigans as Kate Bishop attempts to reform the West Coast Avengers. So we're going to recap this 10-issue run for you right now. So let's go. After Kate Bishop, aka Hawkeye, finds herself in the middle of an outbreak of giant land sharks attacking Santa Monica, she quickly recruits her boyfriend Fuse and best friend America Chavez to help. She also drags Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, into the chaos. After leading the Landsharks back into the sea, the group agrees that Kate needs to reform the West Coast Avengers. After filtering through a large group of superhero wannabes, Gwenpool arrives, almost entirely unaware that Kate was even recruiting for a team. With no funding and a very small roster, they reluctantly allow the arrogant, Omega-level mutant Kid Omega to join, as he offers to fund the team in exchange for a camera crew documenting their adventures. Not long after, trouble strikes again when Tigra, one of the original West Coast Avengers, goes on a rampage through the city, but is also inexplicably 200 feet tall. The team struggles to stop her using non-lethal methods. Tigra proves too strong, and her mental state blocks Kid Omega's telepathy. They regroup to form a new plan, but are quickly interrupted by a shirtless man who boldly kisses Kate and declares he will protect her. He introduces himself as BRODOK, the bio-robotic organism designed overwhelmingly for kissing. BRODOK uses his rocket booster feat to confront Tigra and successfully forces her to retreat. The entire team unanimously agrees that this is just MODOK in disguise. They allow him to return to their headquarters, playing along to extract information from him, as his arrival and Tigra's transformation seems too coincidental. Kate and Clint sneak into BRODOK's company, Advanced Image Mechanics, to uncover information that might restore Tigra to her original form. Unfortunately, they find very little evidence. Meanwhile, back at the headquarters, the team gets into a petty argument about movies. Tensions escalate until Kid Omega and Gwenpool, in a surprising turn, kiss, leaving everyone else cringing. When Kate and Clint return to the headquarters, they encounter an awkward atmosphere. They decide to let BRODOK stay the night, secretly agreeing to monitor him. However, the next morning, BRODOK discovers that documents have been stolen from his company, AIM, and furiously vows revenge on the team. Before anyone can act, Tigra returns, tearing the roof off the headquarters and grabbing Kate. Fuse uses his powers to transform himself into a vibranium body, as his piercings are made of the material. America Chavez throws Fuse towards Tigra as BRODOK reveals that he not only brought Tigra to attack Los Angeles, but also unleashed a group of giant monsters. The team quickly formulates a plan, deciding that this is not the time to hold back, even if Tigra was once a respected hero. After a struggle, Kid Omega renders Tigra unconscious using his telepathy, while the others continue to battle the monsters. As Kate re-enters the fight after escaping Tigra's grip, she notices that the giant monsters bear tattoos with symbols identical to those that she previously saw at the AIM facility. Realizing that the monsters might be innocent women transformed by BRODOK, Kate asks America to teleport her back to the facility. Meanwhile, Gwenpool confronts BRODOK, attempting to remove his head to reveal his true identity. BRODOK dismisses her, declaring that his old body is not inside this one, and that he is, and always will be, a supervillain. He pushes Gwenpool away, but Kid Omega saves her just in time. He questions her about whether she has reality manipulation powers, and Gwenpool reminds him that she actually has no powers, lamenting the fact that she's unable to leap through comic book panels as she was once able to do. Kate infiltrates the AIM facility, searching for a device or information to restore the monsters to their human forms. But she is interrupted by BRODOK. He explains his motivations, revealing that he wanted a fresh start in a new city. Despite programming himself to feel love and creating a more handsome body, he is still rejected by women. Kate tells him that he changed everything except the parts that truly matter. What's inside? Shrugging off her words, BRODOK shoots her with a ray gun, tying her to a contraption and beginning to transform her, as he did with the other women. Back on the battlefield, Tigra regains consciousness with her mind restored. Enraged, she demands to confront BRODOK. While she's still in her giant form, she aids the team in defeating the monsters. Meanwhile, Clint searches the AIM facility for a device marked Aversa, which is Latin for the word back, chuckling at the supervillain trope for making solutions blatantly obvious. BRODOK, now using his telepathic powers, tries to convince Kid Omega to join him in a plan to either make all women love them or destroy humanity. Kid Omega pretends to consider, but then strikes him with a blast. Clint uses the device, which emits a bright flash, restoring BRODOK to his original form. MODOK, the giant floating head. Kate, now a giant hawk aptly named Kate Hawk, throws MODOK through the air. Amid the battle, Fuse's sister helps evacuate civilians but finds herself trapped under rubble. America quickly saves her, and Ramone joins the team. With the device, the monsters are returned to their human forms, including Kate. After the battle, romantic developments emerge. Kid Omega and Gwenpool appear to be an item. Ramone and America grow closer and more flirtatious, whilst Kate is dealing with a phone call from Captain America. The team is then invited onto Jimmy Kimmel's show to discuss the previous battle. We then see the new West Coast Masters of Evil, comprising of the Eel, Satana, Graviton, MODOK, and Madame Mask, as they discuss their evil plan. Kate tells Clint that Captain America disapproves of their reality TV show, citing its past failures. While battling the supervillain Gridlock, Gwenpool saves a kitten and narrowly avoids being crushed by a car. Once again, she's saved by Kid Omega. Back at the headquarters, Gwenpool names the kitten Jeff. After a tip from the mayor, the team investigates suspicious activity at a closed-down theme park, only to be ambushed by Madame Mask. America teleports herself and Ramone to the team's location, arriving directly from a date together, prompting Kate's frustration over Ramone's involvement as she lacks powers. They soon discover an invisible barrier suppressing their abilities, leading to the realization that multiple villains are involved. The team is then separated by a Hellfire teleportation spell. Satana traps America and Clint in a hall of mirrors, subduing them with a kiss. Meanwhile, Kid Omega and Gwenpool find themselves in the tunnel of love. Gwenpool once again confesses she has no powers, claiming her reboot in LA stripped her of her abilities. Before they can plan an escape, they are attacked and rendered unconscious by a hidden figure. Elsewhere, Kate, Fuse, and Ramone are ambushed by throwing stars. Fuse, his powers suppressed, fails to maintain his vibranium form, leaving them vulnerable. Kate fires an arrow at the attacker, but is thrown across the room by the exploding throwing stars. Shockingly, she then sees her supposedly deceased mother, Eleanor Bishop, urging her to follow. The West Coast Masters of Evil celebrate their success in the first phase of their plan. The Eel, Satana, MODOK, and Madame Mask discuss their intentions. Not to kill the West Coast Avengers, but to break them. They believe outright killing them would draw more heroes to their doorstep. Meanwhile, the team, except Kate, is locked in cages suspended above a pool of angry sharks. Kate and her mother, Eleanor Bishop, traverse dark tunnels as Madame Mask reveals that Lady Bullseye is currently hunting them down. Kate, still suspicious, plants a tracker on her mother. When they are ambushed again by throwing stars, Kate manages to take down Lady Bullseye, who is carrying Clint's bow, arrows, and a set of earplugs. After finding a way to escape, Kate insists on returning to save her friends, despite Eleanor warning her of bigger dangers at play. Kate plugs in the earplugs, preparing for another battle. Back at the lair, Gwenpool and Kid Omega are lowered into the shark-infested water. Madame Mask ups the stakes by also lowering Ramone into the water as well. Desperate, Fuse taps into a power he's never used before, transforming his body into water to follow Ramone and protect her. Kid Omega musters up enough telepathic strength to push the water away and repel the sharks. Gwenpool catches him as he passes out, only to realize these aren't regular sharks. They're Landsharks. MODOK decides to recall the sharks, allowing Satana her turn to toy with the team. Lady Bullseye storms in, furious about Kate's escape, but the Masters of Evil remain confident that their final member will capture her. Kate, once again, is attacked and awakens in a dark room. She finds herself unbound and fully armed, but as she looks up, she sees Novar, aka Marvel Boy, her ex-boyfriend. Novar reveals he's been infiltrating the Masters of Evil disguised as Graviton and offers his help. Kate is unimpressed and storms off, determined to save her team. The team, still trapped, faces a giant fire golem created by Satana. Fuse tries to protect Ramone by activating his vibranium form in short bursts, but it's ineffective. Satana toys with them, intending to maim them rather than kill them. Kate intervenes, using sonic arrows to create a deafening sound, even debilitating her own team. However, they realize that it's sound-related tech that's suppressing their powers. Kate's sonic arrows are able to block this tech. America bursts out of her cage and attempts to rescue Ramone, but her portal abilities remain limited. Meanwhile, Noh-Varr confronts the Masters of Evil, revealing his true identity. He punches Madame Mask before the villains escape via MODOK's teleporters, leaving behind Hellfire Dogs. America manages to create a portal, cutting the Hellfire Dogs in half, while the team destroys the device suppressing the powers and the barrier trapping them. At the regroup, Fuse awkwardly meets Noh-Varr, Kate's ex, for the first time. Gwenpool introduces the team to Jeff the Landshark, claiming he's coming home with her. She promises to love and care for him, and despite concerns about Jeff being dangerous, the team reluctantly agrees, as long as he doesn't bite anyone who isn't a supervillain. Jeff flashes an adorable grin, winning them all over. Back at the headquarters, Noh-Varr discusses a serious matter. He's been investigating the Temple of the Shifting Sun, a cult composed of scrolls. The team plans to infiltrate the cult by disguising themselves as recruits. Clint, too recognizable, uses a device to disguise himself as Wonder Man, a celebrity new recruit of the cult. Gwenpool and Kid Omega will attempt to infiltrate Madame Mask's home to find more information. Once inside, Clint is taken to a room of high-ranking members. The others are asked to sign contracts and change into uniforms. They are led into an underground dungeon filled with hooded figures and now realize their cover is blown. The cult leader reveals they knew the team's identities all along and declares they will serve as blood sacrifices. Meanwhile, Gwenpool and Kid Omega infiltrate Madame Mask's home disguised as her minions. Gwenpool's pink hair gives them away, but Gwenpool guesses the password correctly. She brags, accidentally giving away their ruse once again. Kid Omega is ambushed, but Gwenpool skillfully takes down several enemies with her swords. When they encounter Eleanor Bishop, she pleads with them to save Kate, claiming she knows a secret way into the temple. Back at the temple, the team fights the hooded cult members, desperately debating their next move. Noh-Varr hands Kate a futuristic bow and arrow, which she uses to fend off the attackers. However, the hooded figures keep rising after being knocked down. It's then revealed that Noh-Varr was wrong. These aren't scrolls, they're vampires. In an interview with the camera crew, Kid Omega expresses his distrust of Eleanor Bishop. As he waits for Gwenpool and Ramone to return, Jeff the Landshark interrupts, jumping into Kid Omega's lap. Despite his annoyance, Kid Omega smiles and warns the crew not to share this footage. Meanwhile, Fuse and Noh-Varr finds themselves trapped at the bottom of a large pit. Noh-Varr attempts to climb out but is stopped by electrified walls. In another part of the dungeon, Kate and Clint along with several others are hanging upside down. Kate is surprised to see Clint there, and he explains his disguise failed when the real Wonder Man appeared on live TV. They realize they are prisoners because they lack powers, and vampires prefer superpowered victims. Kate looks over and spots a barely conscious America being chained up by the cult. At the same time, Gwenpool confronts Ramone at her home, who wields a large spear and insists on joining the rescue mission. Gwenpool refuses, citing the risks of involving another powerless individual. Ramone removes her jacket, revealing a glowing scar on her chest. She recounts how her mother, Zobe, a former Dora Milaje warrior, left Wakanda and settled in California. Zobe's death left Ramone and her brother to struggle on their own. Ramone explains that when she came into contact with vibranium jewelry left by her mother, it painfully tried to bond with her. She resisted, now aware that she has powers she's reluctant to use. Motivated by the dire situation, Ramone decides to embrace her powers, and in a burst of energy, she's transformed into a form covered in vibranium armor, ready to help her loved ones. Eleanor leads Gwenpool, Kid Omega, and Ramone through a secret entrance into the temple. She reveals that the cult is seeking to use America's blood to create a messiah, who can grant vampires the ability to survive in sunlight. In the pit, Fuse transforms into vibranium and asks Noh-Varr to throw him at the electrified grate, blocking their escape. The team arrives to help free them, but Fuse is shocked to see Ramone's new form. Kate and Clint, having freed themselves, fight the cult members with help from the team. Jeff the Landshark enthusiastically bites the vampires, joining the fray. Kate and Eleanor work together to free America, but Eleanor shocks Kate by revealing her fangs and biting America's neck. Filled with rage, Kate attacks her mother, who explains to her that she's only half vampire. Eleanor reveals that she left Kate to hide her secret and joined Madame Mask in the hope of finding a cure. She claims the cult's belief in a messiah is misguided and only bit America to prove this point. Meanwhile, Ramone demonstrates her new abilities by generating huge vibranium tendrils to pin down the vampires and lift them into the air. Even Jeff is impressed by the display. America is grateful for Ramone's bravery. The team escapes the dungeon along with the remaining victims, but America creates a portal into a shrimp world to trap the vampires. Jeff is clearly excited by this shrimp world and prompts Gwenpool to joke about buying him a vacation home there. Back at the headquarters, the team adjusts to their new dynamics. Clint praises the group as a young but promising Avengers team. Gwenpool and Kid Omega agree to work on their relationship while looking after Jeff the Landshark. Fuse admits feeling awkward around Noh-Varr, but also grudgingly acknowledges he's attractive. Noh-Varr, respecting Kate and Fuse's relationship, comments that he can see what Kate sees in Fuse, as he is also an attractive guy. He then admits he misjudged the skull threat, but believes the Temple of the Shifting Sun remains dangerous. Ramone and America's relationship grows stronger, and Kate grapples with being caught in a love triangle between herself, Fuse, and Noh-Varr. The story ends with the team enthusiastically watching Jeff discover his tornado powers, sharing a moment of joy as the West Coast Avengers. If you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. But for the meantime, peace, peace, peace!